Hey everyone! Today I'm going to explain what makes someone easy to approach versus someone you wouldn't want to approach. Have you ever walked down the street with a friend and noticed people always talk to your friend, but not to you?
I know exactly what you mean, Jesus. Hardly anyone ever comes up to talk to me. Even when I'm with a friend, the girls always end up talking to him instead.
I see. Well, if you pay attention in today's lesson, you'll learn how to become the kind of person girls naturally want to approach. Someone they genuinely like. Alright, let's discuss the difference between someone you feel like talking to and someone you don't. First, here's the most basic point. People who are easy to approach appear to be in a good mood. In contrast, people who are hard to approach appear to be in a bad mood. So the first step is to smile. Think of someone you'd feel comfortable talking to. They're usually smiling, seem calm, and don't get angry easily, right? Plus, they look like they'd understand what you're saying.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly. Meanwhile, someone you wouldn't want to talk to is basically the opposite. No expression, seeming angry, and unlikely to understand you if you did talk. At work, a senior colleague might say, "Why didn't you come to me for advice?" But maybe it's because they always look emotionless and intimidating, like they wouldn't really listen. There's a huge difference between someone who's blank-faced and someone who's smiling. People naturally want to talk to someone who looks friendly. So start by smiling in any situation and be sure to make eye contact.
Eye contact, right?
Yes. Making eye contact signals that you're interested in the other person. No matter how much you talk, if you never truly look at each other, you'll end up feeling distant. If you avoid eye contact, the other person might think, "They must not like me." Then they won't want to speak to you. So if you want people to talk to you, you absolutely have to look them in the eye. That's the starting point.
I do get nervous about that, though.
If it's too difficult to look directly into someone's eyes, try focusing on their nose or chin instead.
Got it, thank you.
So, keep smiling and make eye contact. These are the very basics, but many people overlook them. Make sure you're doing both. Next, it's important not to hide your flaws.
But if I show my flaws, won't people just leave me?
Not at all. Think about it. Imagine being around someone who seems absolutely perfect all the time. Wouldn't that tire you out? Take Pooh, for instance. He's endearing partly because he's aware of his round belly. If Pooh suddenly had a perfectly sculpted six-pack, that would be off-putting, right? It's the same idea. Pooh is loved because he has that so-called flaw. So don't hide your shortcomings, put them on display. That's why comedians are often popular. They're open about their flaws.
I see your point.
On the flip side, if you try to come across as flawless, people might think, "You clearly don't need me in your life." And they end up wanting to break things off. They feel drained being around someone who seems perfect. That's the fate of someone who pretends to have no faults.
I've definitely heard stories like that.
And when you show your flaws and occasionally lean on others, people tend to like you more. After all, trust is about believing in someone else and relying on them. It feels good when someone counts on you.
But my parents always told me never to be a burden to anyone.
Listen, there's a big difference between relying on people and being a total nuisance. As I mentioned, people want to feel needed. Of course, depending on someone for everything isn't ideal, but sometimes you should try to let others help you. The next important thing is not to hide who you are.
Not hide who I am?
Exactly. Some people try to keep everything about themselves under wraps, but that just ends up pushing others away. If someone asks, "Where do you live?" and you answer, "Sorry, that's personal information." Or if they ask, "What's your dream?" and you say, "I'm too embarrassed to share." That kind of secretive attitude makes it hard for people to like you. People are naturally drawn to openness. So why not start by being open and talking about yourself? That way, you become someone people feel comfortable approaching. Besides, it's not like your personal details are worth top-secret protection, so try not to overthink it.
You have a point.
There is, however, one important caveat. Don't bring up money, love life, or family issues. For instance, don't ask someone how many people they've dated or how much they have in savings. Avoid those three topics, and beyond that, feel free to be open.
Why is that?
Because if someone happens to have zero dating experience, they might never want to talk to you again after that question. They could even end up resenting you. Issues about money or parents can also trigger complexes or trauma. So whatever you do, don't ask about those. All right, moving on to a very important point. People who get approached a lot are the same people who do the approaching themselves. Remember, about 80% of people out there wish someone would talk to them, while only about 20% actually initiate conversations. If you can be part of that 20%, the ones who start conversations, people are bound to like you. Why? Because almost everyone is waiting for someone to talk to them. So, go ahead and break the ice first.
I understand I should speak to people first, but I'm not sure what to talk about.
Great question. Simply point out anything you notice about the other person.
Anything I notice?
Yes, exactly. Compliment something, like, that coat looks great on you, or that bag seems really practical, or I love your earrings. Starting with praise for something they're wearing or using is a good approach. Or you could say something like, you've seemed really busy lately, or mention any change you've noticed about them. Most people want you to notice their little changes. It makes them feel cared for, and it brightens their day. In other words, people who are well-liked tend to notice changes in others and speak up about them. All right, let's talk about what happens after you start a conversation. The first rule is to listen to the other person. People like those who pay attention to their stories. When someone listens to you, you naturally feel like doing something nice for them in return. And when you're listening, the most important thing is to show genuine emotion in your responses.
Show emotion in my responses?
That's right. It's not enough to just say, right, to everything, like a non-playable character in a video game. You don't really feel like talking to someone who only ever responds with, yeah, sure. Instead, try reactions like, wow, that sounds delicious. Or, I know exactly what you mean. I've been there too. Vary both the words and the tone of your responses. Even if it feels a bit over the top, a bigger reaction tends to make people like you more. It's kind of like being a comedian. Enthusiasm goes a long way.
How enthusiastic should you be?
Well, about 30% more than your usual level should do. Use your voice, body, and facial expressions, all three, to convey your reactions.
I'll do my best.
Another thing people often overlook is their speaking pace. It's best to talk slowly.
Slowly?
Yes, certain people, like avid fans or researchers, tend to speak quickly because their minds move fast. But you need to make an effort to slow down and keep a smile on your face when you talk.
Understood.
One last thing, if you're critical or negative in conversation, people won't want to be around you. For example, if you say things like, that TV show is awful, or that person has such a terrible personality, others might think, they're probably talking badly about me behind my back too. Once that impression's formed, people will start to distance themselves from you.
That's definitely true.
That wraps up today's lesson. Once you've subscribed, be sure to leave a comment sharing what you learned or noticed.
Thank you so much.